Alrighty. Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, Classic Known Classics. This is episode number 2356 and episode number 2250. We have a finale for a run to start with, and of course, a mini-series by Peter David. First up we have is Avengers Assemble, which is the finale for Jason Aaron's time on Avengers and Avengers Forever. Yep, this crossover is the end of his run, both series. And I'll reveal a little bit what was actually the first time Marvel because right after he did this, he also returned to Punisher, which that finale, I will talk about that when basically when he attends on that last trade for Punisher. And aside from Punisher, the only book left to talk about from Jason Aaron from Marvel is Thor Deviant Saga and his Ghost Rider run. And that's it. You thinking, really? Yeah, that's it. Avengers Assemble covers, you have Alpha and Omega one-shots. Very rare to see these from Marvel Comics. We also have from Avengers, I believe this is volume number, is it 5? Yeah, volume 5. Issues 63 to 66. Avengers Forever, volume 2, issues 12 to 15. Now, here's a little fun fact about Avengers reaching issue 63, for example. This is the first one to reach this far for an Avengers book. By the way, this is longer than even a New Avengers Volume 1. And that was 65 issues. This was 66. Which makes it the longest Avengers book since Volume 3. And that lasted for 84 issues. That is correct. 84 issues, which... that is quite something. I did not really here's the thing. At the time when this book ended, this was Marvel's highest. This was actually Marvel's this is the one book of Marvel that had the highest number of issues at the time of its ending. Just behind this was Captain America, and that Captain America was Captain Marvel, and behind that one was X-Force. There was also New Mutants and Wolverine. As of currently, with this book concluded, and of course Captain Marvel, the most recent book concluded, guess what was Marvel's the number one book that has the highest number of issues published with it right now? X-Force. Yep, X-Force. Now, the story for Avengers Assemble, by the way, we have this wonderful, really good cover here. Avengers Assemble, where this is the culmination of a storyline that have been building, not since the beginning of this run per se. No, not necessarily, because normally they would have something like this culminate in something building at the start of their run. Not necessarily. If you think about this, it's been going on since they've been building this since issue 50. Yeah, when they brought in the multiverse, the multiverse Masters when they introduced them back in issue 50, which is when they kill off the Orb. Which, fun fact, at the end of the story, the Orb makes one final appearance in a dimension run by Mephisto. Yes, so the multiverse, Masters and Mephisto are the main villains of the story, where the Avengers first started off against fighting against the prehistoric Avengers, which include a caveman Hulk star brand, the Phoenix, who is one of Thor's moms, one of several moms he's had. Yes, seriously. By the way, at the finale of the story, they bring back the All Mothers. Which, here's a fun fact. Guess when's the last time we saw these three ladies? Well, we had the female Jane Foster run. Yeah, prior to issue 700 of Thor. That was the last time we saw the All Mothers. That was back in, oh my gosh, that was back in 2018. Yeah, that's how long ago it was when we last saw the All Mothers. They prepared a finale of the story, and thanks to Thor bring Echo to Asgard. So that was really cool. Yes, but currently Thor is the current All-Father. He's the ruler of Asgard now, and he brings in his three mothers. One of them is Gaia, his biological mother. Which, here's the strange thing though. Marvel most time forgets Gaia is his biological mother. Some people think it's Freya. No, Freya is his stepmom. Yep. So they fight them, and of course they fight the Masters of Evil. And they eventually get the same page. Oh, and then they reveal something that was actually set up in the pages, I think was just what that led to back to how it led to Avengers Forever. of who is Avengers Prime. Yes, we have this mysterious. By the way, the artwork for this book is quite interesting. For the Alpha one shot, it is now Jason writes everything in this book, and I do mean everything. The Alpha one shot is done by Brian Hitch. I'm like, that's interesting. You have Haben Garon, who does the Avengers issues, and he is also one of the artists for Avengers Assemble Omega. Okay. 12, 13, and 15 is Aaron Cooter, who also does the Omega one-shots, and Jim Toney, who is also one of the artists of the Avengers Omega one-shot. Omega one-shot, the only artist on that one is Ian Ferrello, which is interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure why Hitch just does the opening one-shot. Now, by the way, he does do the cover for that one, too. The one criticism I've heard about this thing is very inconsistent. It kind of feels that way, but it's just a small-scale thing, per se. So, we deal with this little alien Avengers thing. Like, here Avengers Prime, yes, a guy in the suit wearing a Thor helmet. Who is he really? Well, and we have this awesome page. They have the Avengers. They have the Avengers fighting prehistoric Avengers. It's like, no, calm down. We want to work with you guys. We do not want to fight. And of course, they want to fight. Yes. So you have Thor versus his father. And you have also, let's see, you have Iron Man versus Agamotto. Yes, seriously. And of course, also Starbrand Hulk. And of course, Odin fights Echo, who's now the current Frozen Phoenix. Yeah, eventually they have Namor fighting a caveman version of the Ghost Rider. Yes, seriously. And of course, now I can say this. I guess you're the original fist of Kasasu. So by chance you're more reasonable than the other guys who come after you? Don't think so. Okay. That's quite interesting. So, yeah, they reveal who the Avengers Prime is, which is something that had been mentioning since Deathlike first showed up in this book. Then you have Multiverse Doom, of course you have Starbrand Hulk, along with King Killmonger, Ghost Goblin, Young Thanos, Dark Phoenix, the Berserker, and Black Skull. So, and Immortal Mephisto, and of course also Robbie Reyes, basically. Of course, you have a camp appearance by Peggy Carter, who is Captain Carter. Yep. Yeah, she appears in the story at the events of her own miniseries. Now you might be asked the question, who the heck is Avengers Prime? Who is this guy in the suit? Who is Avengers Prime? It is... They reveal this a little later. They reveal this at some point in the story. And of course, you have Multiverse Steves. Oh yeah, and we also have, apparently in the God Quadri, we have the Avengers Tower. Well, a version of Avengers Tower. Yeah. So it's interesting though. I love the whole Avengers Forever stuff. So, who is Avengers Prime, you might ask? Well, I'm about to show you here because this was something I kind of forgot. I look at my line, basically, yeah, I read this when it came out, but I kind of forgot who this was. But then this book reminded me. Of course, you also have Mogog appearing in the story, which is awesome. I love when Mogog shows up. So, who is Avengers Prime? Well, Avengers Prime is Loki. Yes, seriously. But not 616 Loki. Oh, no, not 616 Loki. An alternate version of Loki. And they revealed the backstory of what happened with him. So apparently, in his world, he basically overthrew Odin. He prevented his own brother from becoming the God of Thunder. He kept Captain America frozen. He kept Iron Man in jail. He basically prevented the formation of the Avengers and many other heroes. But then, of course, he think he ruled the world, and think we find. Then the other threats showed up, and the Earth was destroyed. So he basically built Avengers Tower, sort of the last thing. And apparently, he's been talking about other multiverses, other universes about seeing the formation of the Avengers. Interesting idea, making Loki, making him Avengers Prime, because this makes total sense that he beat Avengers Prime, because he kind of is the one who created the Avengers. Was him. They formed because of him. Which I'm like, okay, that's quite interesting. I think that's a really cool concept. Yep. And of course, deal with the whole thing with them. Yeah. And of course, you have multiple Steves in here, which is a lot of fun. Yep. I think that we also have, get this, Iron Man and Tony Stark meet up with Tony Stark, who's Ant-Man, which I thought that was quite cool. It's like, man, I must have been really drunk if I became Ant-Man. Yes, seriously, he says that. And then we still see the return of Thor's granddaughters from the King Thor timeline. Like, okay, interesting. Oh yeah, and then also Avengers Mountain pops up here too, commanded by Gorilla Man, who's actually applying for his old job back, the former chief of security of Avengers Mountain. Which I'm like, okay, interesting. This book is a lot of fun. Sadly put, basically Starbrand gets indirectly killed off in the Avengers story. Bissell gets imprisoned. Namor officially leaves the team. And the team kind of disbands after this story. Well, they kind of basically people leave the team, and they get relaunched. Jed McKay right after this with. Now, when I heard the book was going to relaunch Jed McKay, now book relaunched. Okay, that's not surprising. It's Marvel Comics. They love hitting the restart button whenever Rare comes on board. Having Jed McKay take over the writing, I'm like, that is interesting. Especially as people love his work on Black Cat, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight. Like, okay. Have him do it. And I've been reading it. It's been quite interesting so far. I've been really enjoying it. So the Avengers do not have base operation anymore. Though their new base is Project Pegasus, which is a strange idea. But the book is just starting now. But this book kind of feels like, if you read it, it feels like a finale to Jason Aaron's, like, everything he's done at Marvel at this point in time. A lot of that stuff he's done at Marvel. But I like this event. I think it's actually pretty good. This book roughly a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on this era of Avengers / Avengers Forever. There's some good and some bad things for the story. I mean, I love all the stories they did with this Avengers. I thought it was a lot of fun. The fact that only tied into like 2 events, Empire and War of the Realms. Like, okay, interesting. Also, sadly, when this run came out, Jason ended his time on Thor like a year after he wrapped up this, like basically about 2 years after he wrapped up his time on Thor. That happened during when this run was coming out. And of course also he got, then for a brief period of time, it was just his book and like, well actually we do one other book, Wrath of Water Realms. He did briefly did Valkyrie, which it lasted for like a year and got canceled. So when that ended and he ran his run in Thor, so like, okay, so he just this book for a while. And then he had also, during the last year of this book, he launched Punisher, which had a good start and a terrible ending. I will talk about that later, but okay. Some bad things happened, this particular thing, that I do agree with criticism on this. She-Hulk. I think that She-Hulk, in my opinion, her acting the way she did, the way she was drawn in this whole thing, it's like, one person put it, it's basically Hulk with a wig. Yeah, I thought that was kind of an issue. My biggest gripe with She-Hulk in this book is that for some strange reason, I have no idea why Jason Aaron thought this was a good idea. He basically put She-Hulk in relation with Thor. Like, here's the thing. How the heck does that make any freaking sense? Because here's the thing about this. Prior to this run, Thor has expressed no romantic interest in She-Hulk. I would rather see him hook up with Ra's Solomon. That made a lot more sense. Because if you read some issues, like toward the end of there was an issue of Thor, or focus on Ra's Solomon, where Ra's really wants, because Ra's has got feelings for Thor. He's about to see him, and all of a sudden, like go to his room to possibly see him. All of a sudden, She-Hulk comes in for training, and she hears him having sex. Yes, seriously. And that upsets her. The fact that the man she loves is with another woman. Yes. And then I think it was prior to issue 50, I think it was on issue 40, they basically shrunk her down to normal size. and she was removed from the book. And she moved over to Fantastic Four briefly, and then she got her own spin-off book. Finally. And the book has been really good. I've been thoroughly enjoying the Ray Morale run, though I've heard they got relaunched as Sensational She-Hulk. I'm like, that's interesting. I thought that's a really cool idea. Still can't see writer, just that was kind of strange. They decided to end the number and just restart as Sensational She-Hulk. Another problem I've heard complain with this run is the Vampire Nation stuff. The fact that you have Blade being a sheriff of Vampire Nation, and this got a one-shot spin-off, which, here's the thing. Jason, I think, was one-shot. And here's also something why it's strange, though. After this one-shot came out, like, Blade shows up in his daughter's book, and currently he's got his own book, and guess what? There's no mention of the Vampire Nation. It's like, some people more must have realized, though, him being the sheriff of that place was a terrible idea. I hope the current writer about it will explain. I think it's Brian Hill who writes it, who wrote Avengers. Not Avengers. He wrote The Outsiders and wrote Tenta Comics, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed both those books. So do I think that they're going to explain that? Hopefully they will. Though Vampire Nation, where it was located, was quite interesting. They put it in Chernobyl. Yes, I thought that was a really interesting idea. Now, did I like the lineup when the book started? When it had Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel, along with Robert as Ghost Rider. I thought this was a really cool lineup when the book started. Yes, especially as all remember. Now, Doctor Strange, at this point in time, when the book started, he had not been part of the group as an Avenger since 2012. Yes, Black Panther, oh my gosh, it's been longer for him. If you're really curious, when was the last time Black Panther was on the Avengers roster? He had not been on a roster since 2004. I thought that was interesting. Yes. I did like the fact Blade on the team. I loved all the expansion they did for the team. I thought the run was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it is. And I'm going to have to stop here because dinner is ready. Yep, so when I come back, I'm going to talk about Joe Fixit. Okay? Next video. Bye.